Fresh off the weekend, and we're ready to get it here on today's Golden State Warriors Today. And here's what's coming up. We have a new Lauri Markkanen trade report. How are things looking on that front? Getting a little bit dicey for Golden State. Also some news about a Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody contract extension potentially coming up down the pipe for the Warriors. First, we are 10 people away from 66,000 subscribers. Join the largest independently run Warriors channel right here on YouTube, bringing you updates on the Dubs year-round by hitting that subscribe button right now. Will you be the person that gets us to 66K? As for the latest on Lauri Markkanen, here's what Shams Charania had to say over the weekend. The Golden State Warriors have been the most engaged team for Markkanen in recent weeks, as league sources tell The Athletic. They have discussed a proposal around Moses Moody, multiple first-round picks, multiple pick swaps, and multiple second-round picks. The Jazz, however, have asked for the bulk of young talent and capital that the Warriors possess, including Moody, but also Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski, along with picks, which has been a non-starter thus far for Golden State. Look, if you know, you know. For the Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge is off his rocker. Stay off the weed, duh! Look, I understand that the Jazz really value Lauri Markkanen. But to ask for all of that? Shoot, you might as well ask for the keys to the Golden State Warriors facility and the entire Golden State Warriors roster. If you're Danny Ainge at this point, just ask for Steph Curry, for the kicker, to make us laugh a little bit. You want all of that for Lauri Markkanen? I understand. All-star, most improved player, 3-level scorer as a big. But what else do you have cooking in Utah? How is that team going to be able to fare this year? Do you even know if Lauri Markkanen wants to stay around? And I get it. Anytime you go to the negotiating table with your bosses, whether you are an athlete, whether you work in the corporate world like the majority of us do, if you're the employee, you always start off asking for a lot, right? And then you're willing to come down. If you're a company, you have some wiggle room, right? But you start low or you start high, and then you kind of see what the market is, what that employee wants, and then you're willing to maybe compensate a little bit. For Utah, they're just all the way up here, and they got to come down here a little bit. And for Golden State, I don't even think their offer is the best offer that they can give. They're probably starting here, willing to go up. As I've said, and some people asked me over the weekend, Chase, why do you keep talking about Jonathan Kuminga in this trade? I include Jonathan Kuminga in the trade because he's the best player that the Warriors can realistically trade. And if Golden State truly wants Lauri Markkanen, the Utah Jazz are looking at the Warriors roster saying, if we give you Lauri Markkanen, we want that player to build around. Maybe that player could be Jonathan Kuminga, but we also really like Brandon Podziemski, especially with what he was able to do for the USA Select team. So currently the Warriors offer to Utah for Lauri Markkanen, Moses Moody, 2 unprotected ones, protected first, multiple first-round pick swaps, multiple second-round picks. It's not a lot as far as player capital goes. But if Utah is looking to rebuild, you can do it with all those draft picks right there. Clearly the roadblock that Utah wants is the current ascending talent, and Golden State wants to keep that ascending talent. A date to keep in mind, and that's that date that we threw out last week, is that Markkanen can sign that extension August 6th. And then he wouldn't be able to be traded until the NBA trade deadline. And then there's another date where if he signs it a little bit later, he can't be traded at all throughout the entire duration of the 2024-2025 season. Here's what Sean Kane of Blue Man Hoop Group had to say about all this. That's why it's useful to see August 6th as an informal deadline for any Markkanen trade. That's when Utah will decide on their path forward, and the Warriors will know if either of their young talents is heading to Salt Lake City. The Jazz are rumored to be holding out for Podziemski in a Markkanen trade, but it's also important to be skeptical about any trade rumor involving Jazz team president Danny Ainge. And that is so true. Danny Ainge is a stickler. Danny Ainge is a stiff negotiator. And it sounds like Brandon Podziemski could be the piece that could maybe make this deal happen. And maybe my read is wrong. Maybe the Jazz don't want Jonathan Kuminga, and they just want Brandon Podziemski and or Moses Moody in addition to all that draft capital there. I think Podziemski has a lot of ability, has a lot of potential. This is a player who showed us a lot last year as a rookie. 9 points per game, just under 6 rebounds. I think his distribution numbers can increase and get a lot better. 45% from the field and almost 39% from three. If he has more opportunities, you imagine those numbers go up, and he could be most improved player next year or one of the breakout players for next season. Anthony Slater with this tweet from Sunday. Brandon Podziemski, 21, 12, and 7. In the Warriors Summer League win over the Bulls in Las Vegas. Trace Jackson Davis, 17, 10, and 3. Sounds like that might be the Summer League finale for both. They played 3 games. That goes back to the earlier Summer League session that the Warriors held, and then going into Las Vegas as well. Once teams see enough, especially from the young players who have already played a year, they're like, all right, Trace Jackson Davis, Podziemski, we don't need you to play any longer. Podziemski's too good for the Summer League. If he put up that production last year, and then so far he's been able to show what he's been able to show, clearly he has a role on an NBA roster, and clearly a team like the Utah Jazz might be very interested in him. What's also cool is that with Podziemski playing for the USA Select Team, he's had an opportunity to play alongside Cooper Flagg, the projected #1 pick for next year, who's going to Duke. And if the Jazz stink up the joint and Podziemski gets traded to Utah, could they be teammates with the Utah Jazz next year? We know Kyle Filipowski very stoked to go to Utah. A lot of other players can't say that. If you get that joke, type real one. Would you include Brandon Podziemski in a Markkanen trade? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to know with what you're thinking down below in the comments section. We always appreciate your feedback. Coming up next, could extensions be coming soon for some of the young, talented players on this Warriors roster? Olympic play about to get underway. Team USA with a couple of ramp-up games against Canada, and today they're playing Australia, I believe. Steph Curry balling out. If you want a Steph Curry Team USA jersey, head to chatsports.com/CurryUSA. That link is down below, attached to the pinned comment of today's video. Kendra Andrews with this tweet. Mike Dunleavy Jr. saying he'd like to find extensions for Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. As for Curry's extension, that's also a huge priority. That guy can get whatever he wants. I think that stuff will get figured out, and he'll be a Warrior for life. Hopefully he will be a Warrior for life. NBA contracts are so funny. Like, Steph Curry didn't even sign that deal that long ago. I think it was 2 off seasons. We're already talking about a contract extension. In other sports, you're not really talking about that. Like, Bryce Harper, Major League Baseball, signed a 13-year, $330 million deal. He has outperformed that. And he signed that deal going into 2020, I believe. Just this offseason, there started to be some chatter about him looking for a new deal. NBA, it's like 2 years? Yeah, already looking for a new extension. I'm not worried about Curry at all, to be frank. You know, he has said, I want to be here for the rest of my career. Crazier things have happened. If the Warriors are in the gutter, things could obviously change, but I think Golden State's going to do everything that they can to keep Curry with this organization, the greatest Warrior of all time, here forever. 2024-2025 contracts, by the way, for Kuminga and Moody, looking ahead to this year. If they outperform and live up to expectations, these deals become bargains, especially for a team that's really cash-strapped. I mean, if Kuminga takes that next step, $7.63 million, that's phenomenal. And then if Moses Moody can become a very good rotation player, a player who can knock down threes and defend at a higher rate, I mean, that's just a few $1 million over the vet men. So you got to be able to maximize with these players being on their rookie deals if you keep them and don't trade them. Michael Scotto, June of 2024, did say this: Kuminga will likely be a Warrior going forward unless he's needed in a trade package for an All-NBA player. And as we know, Lauri Markkanen is not an All-NBA player, but he could be included in that Lauri Markkanen trade if the Warriors decide to heavily pursue him once again. As for what both these players did during the 2023-24 season, drafted 7th and 14th a couple of years ago. Kuminga at 7. Moody at 14. Kuminga took that leap, especially toward the back end of the year once him and Steve Kerr kind of figured things out as far as his role. And then Moses Moody, still waiting on him to make that sizable leap. But there's something to work with there, with the defense, with the three-point shooting. He has range. I just think he needs more opportunities. And with Klay Thompson going somewhere else, I know the Warriors brought in Buddy Hield. That might be the opportunity that Moses Moody has been seeking. Kuminga eligible for a 5-year, $224 million deal. A lot of money. And I'm not sure I'd be wanting to pay that now. I might wait. And I know that if you wait, you might have to pay him a little bit more with how he performs next year. But that's a risk I'm willing to do. I mean, shoot, you're already going to be paying him over $200 million regardless if you do keep him around. You don't want to run into a situation in which you give him 5 for $224 and then he flops. That would suck, and it would put the Warriors in just a deadly zone. Would you extend Kuminga for the max? 5 years, $224, S for sign, P for pass. We've seen instances in which teams wait, just like the Philadelphia 76ers did with Tyrese Maxey. Bleacher Report saying that the Moody camp could seek 11 to 13 million per year. Of course, they're going to say that right now. They're trying to get their client paid. But Moses Moody is going to have to finally break out this year in order for him to get that money. What I would do, wait and see on the market and trade front. Maybe try to extend Kuminga for less than the max. No trade. I guess you treat him as that second star because you don't have that second star. Or you wait until next year. And then Moses Moody, extend him for under $10 million per year if possible. That could also be a desirable contract to trade if other teams like him as a young player. If not, wait until he hits free agency. Allow one more year to showcase his talent. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Golden State Warriors Today, closing in on that aforementioned milestone. Thanks for rocking with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.